you okay with us being here?
Lady.
Lady, lady. Yes. Ashley. Is it a lady Ashley is talking to? Or are you referring to Ashley?
It just said Ashley, I'm not kidding.
Whoa! Ashley just got your name. She has now ascended. I don't know if you heard that, Pip, but your sister from another mister here, Piper, just said we should put Pip on FaceTime.
That was crazy.
That's a good way to end the night, though.
Yeah.
Great way to end the night.
Wild.
About it. Okay, we need to.
What is that?
coordinate now.
Yeah, what was that sound?
What?
I thought that was you rolling something.
No.
I thought that was you rolling something.
At first I thought it was outside, but then it sounded like it was coming from
That was-
inside.
That sounded like
What
it was
was
from in
that?
here. What was that?
Yeah, but that switch does not seem to do anything. It just shuts off the armor.
Shuts off the armor.
Let me see if we can switch over here. Well, these switches here.
That was not us.
Again. All right.
I think I heard Sabrina say mom.
Huh?
What? I thought you were in another room.
No, she didn't say anything.
Did you not?
I heard that.
That was, I thought that was.
I thought that was Serena. I heard mom.
Me too.
I heard it too.
It wasn't.
That was not a real person.
Annaberg. It's either called Annaberg or Annaberg Mansion, and it is in historic Manassas, of Manassas, Virginia.
Us short people will be like.
Yeah, the short people will be fine. Okay. So welcome everybody to the USS North Carolina. This is the Wildwood Sanatorium. And it looks like we've got really good Wi-Fi for this. This is where we're starting the investigation tonight. There's my partner in crime, Phil Rossi. Coming at you.
I would like the cat balls. Someone needs some cat balls.
What was that? What was that? Yeah, I thought it was something on the floor, but it's not.
Someone needs some cat balls.
All right, hold on. Hold the phone, everyone. I'm gonna isolate this section. Isolate this section. Okay.
Is that still going off in there, Tina?
I'm going to hand you the cat balls, if that's cool.
I would like the cat balls.
I'm feeling like something you need to go on the bed.
Someone needs some cat balls.
It's right there. I'm now slowing it down to 175. I'm hearing turn around. Does anyone else hear that? Turn around?
Is that still going off in there, Tina?
I'm going to hand you the cat balls, if that's cool.
I would like the cat balls.
I'm feeling like something you need to go on the bed.
Someone needs some cat balls. You have 3 cat balls. You mean the baby?
try to 1, 2, and then I will put this one on the bottom. And
So
then
I
this
see you're
one
having a lot of fun.
on the top. And then
Thor, has anyone ever called you a Bond villain in a previous life? Because, man, I swear to God, it just sounds like he's saying, it seems you have the upper hand in the cards, Mr. Bond.
I mean, I never said I wasn't.
I wish I knew how to quit you, Thor. I wish I knew how to quit you. Oh, my God.
Which is a 3/3, and Valgavoth, which is
6/6.
a 6/6.
Where's the beef? It's on Mike's battlefield is where it is. Jeez.
Huh?
It is a 6/6 on Mike's battlefield. You know what, Mike? I don't believe you'll sacrifice your Valgavoth. I don't believe you'll do it.
Do it for the vine. You ain't gonna do it.
I don't believe you're gonna do it. I'm gonna send Yuma.
Go ahead and block. You
6/6.
won't.
You won't do it.
Have you lost life yet in your turn?
No.
You're about to.
Is my entire hand counter? Yeah. Oh boy. Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
This is a game
All right,
for the
we're-
ages. I'm gonna save
This is a
this puppy.
game. This is
This
a game.
chat.
All right, we untap the land. We untap the land. We're both at 1.
I don't hear no bell. I don't hear no bell, Nick. I don't hear no bell. All right. All right. Oh, son of a bitch.
Oh.
Oh, there we go. There's my reacher moment. That was my reacher.
Daddy, I'm only in the next room, and I can hear you. Daddy! Daddy? Look, Daddy, I got to groom myself because I'm a beautiful Appalachian queen. Yes, you, chat. And I'm telling you right now, nobody better be touching my torty beans. If anybody touch my torty beans, there's gonna rue today. They are, 'cause I'm an Appalachian queen. I am. I'm about done with this, I swear to this technological hoopa-joop. Right here, chat. That's my fur ass. You can kiss it. Pucker up, buttercup.
No, they're both as high as each other.
Oh, they are. Game of the year, people. Game of the fucking year.
I'm calling it right now.
I'm calling it now. Game of the fucking year. We are 12. We are 12. Hey everybody,
Little tweak to the new hype reel. Still very pleased with it. Working on the BRB update. It is a work in progress, but it is making progress, I assure you. And how you doing, everybody? Tonight it is footage review night. Now, granted, some people would argue that footage review night maybe not the most exciting part of paranormal investigation, but you know what? It is a realistic part of paranormal investigation. It is what we do when we are in between investigations, when we are doing, that's the investigation part of it. That's where we sit down and we go, okay, what did we catch, and did we catch anything? This particular footage may seem familiar to you, but it's also very different. It is a return visit for anybody that, and we're just jumping into it because it was a late start. I mean, you know, that happens. Dinner was late, and such is the life of a paranormal investigator and content creator. Sometimes you are on time, and sometimes you are behind the clock. And today was one of those days. So the footage may seem familiar to you. That is because, if you recall, from this previous season, we went to a place called the Rocking Cradle House of Lynchburg, Virginia. This is reputed as one of the most haunted, if not the most haunted, site in Lynchburg. And the first time we went to the Rocking Cradle House, a lot of stuff went down. We heard a lot of knocks. We heard a lot of thumps. We heard some footsteps. We heard some movement upstairs while everybody was downstairs. We felt like we were being thrown everything, including the kitchen sink. And then something went south with Phil. You can go on ahead and you can check out those episodes of the Rocking Cradle House over on YouTube. And that's real simple. You just you can in chat just do a simple command, command OSI, and command OSI will take you directly to the YouTube channel. Now the episode, two-parter episode, but it's in the second part where things really start getting weird. In fact, I can even say it was the first time we ever had something happen at a site where on the spirit box, well, it was the portal. That was what we were using with Phil's device. We actually got someone saying, listen. We got listen over and over again. Listen. And if you listen to the audio of that particular segment, it changes frequency. It's very subtle. It's very, very much in the background. And I can say it's truly one of the most strange and unusual things we've ever had happen while on an investigation. And what made it so weird, what made it so odd, is the only way, because I sat down and I asked Phil about it. Now, Phil has a background in music production. He has a background, he produces his own music. He produces original music. He's actually done some original stuff for Old Spirits, as a matter of fact. And I'm going to be seeing him this weekend. I'm going to twist his arm to do some more stuff. I really want to showcase his music in season 5. But yeah, we have that expertise that we can count on. We have that expertise where we can say to Phil, "Hey Phil, what does this mean?" And I took that to him. I said, "Listen, what does that mean? What could cause something like that to happen?" So Phil, not only looked at it from a music production point of view, he also looked at it from a, he did his own, he did his own research. And that was when he discovered there is something, it's a phase shift that can naturally happen when there is an abundance of electromagnetism in the area. I mean, yeah. There has to be a concentration of electromagnetism.
I suggest you let that one marinate.
That's pretty significant. But then there was the thing that happened with Phil, and I did a comparison of how Phil was 30 minutes beforehand, and then here we are. We jumped from that moment to when we did the double SD session, and it was like he had just run a marathon. and he was just crashing. He was crashing hard. So the thing was, we were supposed to spend the night, and we hightailed it out of there. The ladies didn't feel comfortable about spending the night there. We didn't feel comfortable about spending the night there. So we just packed up. We just packed up shop, and we went home. And we basically said, you know what? We're not going to let that house beat us. So we went back, and we went back a few months later, and we decided that this was going to be our Halloween special. But I did not expect October to be the month that it was. It was a pedal to the metal, full tilt, absolute insane ride. And it has been this week where I honestly feel like I'm starting to right myself. I'm actually able to help out my wife around the house with different things, and I'm starting to feel normal again. Also, I'm streaming regularly again. I mean, it was just that intense of an October. And Thursday is a day that I normally do footage review, and I haven't done it in a while, mainly because I have been busy trying to get things done with Old Spirits, and then there was TwitchCon, and then there was the following week, which was my birthday and getting ready for Halloween. It's just been insane, and trying to stream, not necessarily a priority. And that's a very dangerous thing, I know, for a streamer to say, particularly a streamer that I'm starting to hear whispers that maybe I need to stream longer if I want to see the growth that I keep talking about chasing. And if that's the case, I have to have a sit down with my wife and go, okay, what are my options here? What are my options? And so yeah, it's been a really crazy October leading into November. Oh yeah, and guess what? Tomorrow I'm going live. Tomorrow I'm going live with Phil Rossi. We go live at 8, and we're going to be doing the Appomattox Jail. And then after we do the Appomattox Jail, the following day, there will be no Saturday afternoon stream, but there will be a Saturday night stream where we will be going live from Clover Hill. Clover Hill, which is a historical village in Appomattox, Virginia. So we've got 2 back-to-back Appomattox dates, Friday and Saturday. So yeah. I am spent, everybody. So I'm late tonight, and I'm okay with that. And now I'm looking. Okay, what's going on here? Yeah, no kidding. What? All right. So apparently Premiere is having a tough time trying to find my media. Please hold. Your call is very important. How about there? And then we go into Rocking Cradle House. Yeah. Return to RCH. Yeah. And we go to Kenneth. I'll give you a minute. Hey, yo, how you doing there, Freddie? How are you? Hope you had a good day. It felt like a good day. It felt like a good day today. Got in the workout. Felt really good about that. Not as productive maybe as yesterday, but I did make some headway with the updates to my my BRB reel. It's kind of the nip tuck that I've been meaning to do for the past year and a half. I don't mind saying it, or maybe even a year and 3/4. Let's see. 29 is right there. I'm gonna say okay. Oh, good. Now it's locating the media. So yeah, it's been a good day, and we'll see how tonight goes. The fact that I'm off on a late start, and the computer is kind of chugging along, trying to decide whether it sees the media or not. This is bizarre. You wrote 3 lines on your assignment and that was your day. I mean,
Hard no.
that I wouldn't describe 3 lines of anything as productive, but you know what? It's a day. Sometimes you just have a day. You know, there's nothing wrong with having a day, provided you keep those days at the minimum. I'm wondering. I'm debating, chat, about whether or not Premiere needs another swift kick in the bullocks. Premiere is just kind of, it's hung up on something. What? I don't know. All right, I'm just gonna cancel this, and I'm gonna cancel that, and it's gonna start up Premiere, but it's gonna be useless to me because it doesn't see any of the media that I'm working with. So if it asks me to save, I'm gonna do I'm gonna tell it
Hard no.
I'm gonna tell it no, and I'll just start over again. Yeah, save changes. Do not save. Let's just kick this off one more time. Okay. And Carol, I'm a Brit. So your streams are usually too late to catch, but I'm glad I can finally catch one. Well, Carol, thank you very much. Where are you in Great Britain? Where are you out in that area of the woods? Because I do love that place. Okay, you really don't want me to do a survey on Adobe products right now, considering that right now Adobe is spitting the dummy. Can I really choose never show again? Because that's going to happen. Oh, great. Everything's working now. Everything's working. That's not necessarily true. I've heard people say that, Freddie, and I'm here to tell you. Maybe I sound like a stan for Adobe, but I mean, I've tried other products, and honestly, Adobe still is head and shoulders above everything else. Now, at one time I would have said that about Final Cut, and then they did that whole revamp of Final Cut that was absolutely ridiculous and unnecessary. I mean, I just finished putting together a really nice new countdown reel, and the BRB reel is shaping up just as promising. So I feel like, you know, when people say things like, oh, well, you know, they just fleece you for this and they do this, and you know, yes, I understand that people really hate the subscription model, but I will argue that I have gotten my money's worth out of Adobe products, and the times that they failed me still are far from outnumbering the times that it's come through in a clutch. Is Adobe perfect? Oh, hell no. Hell no. Hell no. It is not. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Adobe is far from perfect, but you know, using other products, I'm finding out just how good Adobe's got it. And I feel like, I mean, I also remember times where I will, you know, based on the usage that I get out of Adobe products, which, yes, I do write off my taxes because they are part of my business. Even as a content creator, it's part of my business. But I would argue that it was still better than having to basically milk the Final Cut Studio to an inch of its life, and then finally say, okay, now I'll upgrade, and then having to drop basically the equivalent of a Mac, not a Mac Mini, not an iBook, but a Mac, and then getting some software that I didn't even need. Like you couldn't get at the time. You could not get the Apple Final Cut Suite you still couldn't get that a la carte. You had to get Motion, which was their equivalent of After Effects. You had to get the DVD Studio Pro, which I used maybe twice in my lifetime, twice. And it was frustrating. But I've been using After Effects. I've been using I use InDesign. They're great stuff. Video editing software. Freddie.
That's it, man. Game over, man.
You have no
Game
idea.
over.
You have no idea how close I am to banning you for that statement. Man, Windows Movie Maker. I had to work with that once back in the day. And my brother, he tried to one-up me. Now, I was using Premiere at the time, but he was trying to one-up me with Windows Movie Maker, basically saying, if T can do this on a Mac, I can do this on a PC. And when I complimented him on his work, he just shook his head and he said, T, I take everything back I said. Ember, how are you this evening? Good to have you here. Oh, so Carrot. It's Carrot, man. Okay, Carrot. Southern England. Yes. Sorry. I was looking at a different monitor, and it looked like Carol from here. But yeah, Carrot. Carrot, happy to have you here. Southern England. I had the pleasure of getting to that part of Southern England. I believe Devon is in that area. And, man, I fell in love with Devon. And, but no, I love Southern England. Great thing. Adobe was nice in high school. I'd love to use it again. Taught myself to knit the other day. Ember, that's pretty freaking cool. My wife's a cross stitcher, and she's a cross stitcher. But the funny thing is, she burned out on it because of the two things that she made. They are absolutely intricate, absolutely breathtaking, absolutely gorgeous. And she said, "Yeah, I did two of them," and I said, "Right, I'm done." So there's that. But as far as but going back to the original discussion, yeah. Hello there. I've been working with Adobe After Effects and some of the templates that are available on Envato. And man, that's where I feel like I'm really unlocking. I'm really unlocking some stuff. I'm unlocking some skills and some skill sets that I've been wanting to teach myself for quite some time. So yeah, Adobe is far from perfect, but you know what? When you look at some of the other products, they truly are the best game in town. Tonight, however, that is being challenged because for whatever reason, it does not want to see where my drive is. My drive is right here in front of me. It's plugged in as it normally is. Everything is within sight, but for some reason it just does not want to. It does not want to do that. Now, Ember, if you really want to know more about crocheting, the person who dropped the hello there in stream, or if you want to hang out with another crocheter, that's Spence, aka Resonant Moon. They are they got game. They got crochet game. I have a hat that I may be breaking in this weekend. I know we got heat packs, and I've got my glow in the dark crochet hat. So that is something I want to get under my belt. I'd probably use it for photography if I did Adobe, or videos. Possibly, I love video editing, even though I was not exactly the best at it. That's the thing, Ember. When you start, everybody sucks at video editing when they start, and then once you get into it, once you start clocking in some serious time with video editing software, you start to find a flow. And I'm sure people have told me about DaVinci, and they told me about some other programs out there. The one that I tend to stay as far away from as I can, because I was burned by it twice. I've been burned by it twice. Is Canva. The Canva stuff, CapCut, The bigger problem you have with stuff like CapCut and Canva is you have to save the program you have to save the actual project itself, not as a separate file, but it is a proprietary Canva file. And if you want to have multiple editors involved, well, that gets really sloppy because you can't. You basically have to have multiple people accessing the same account. So yeah, that can be something of a CF. Oh, you got leads on another building in Clifton Forge. Different CF, I might add. Okay. It's funny you should bring that up, Spence, because I was just looking at footage from the night that we did both the C&O Railway Museum and the Masonic Theater. It's coming up it's going to be in the updated BRB reel. Not rolling out today. Not rolling out this weekend. It'll probably be ready by next week. It'll probably be ready by next week. So the movie maker story. Really, actually, it's. Thank you for that. Much appreciated. How are you, secondhand? Basically, my brother thought he could edit together this wedding video that he was doing for our cousin. He figured he could do it in a movie maker in 2-3 hours and be done. That was his plan, Freddie. And he said, so I started work on the video at about 8 o'clock, thinking I was going to go to bed at 10:30. He said 2:30 in the frickin' morning, and I finished it. Then I spent another hour. Trying to figure out how to get it off of my computer and onto a disc that I could play. He said, I take back everything I said about you and what you do with videos. Because at the time, chat, what I was doing was that I was on my Mac creating different videos, and then I bring them home for different, get-togethers with the family and stuff like that. And one of the things that I'd done was I had done a video for, I can't remember what, but my mom asked me to bring the copy of the video. And I brought in it was a couple of vacation videos that I had done, and the family would gather around and they'd watch it. They thought it was great. I think one of the funniest ones I ever did though was so my grandmother, who was still with us at the time, she had had a stroke, and it had paralyzed part of her face and her ability to speak, so she couldn't really communicate. And when I was doing a video for same cousin, I was doing the nuptials video, but I couldn't film the wedding. They had hired somebody to film the wedding, but they said, "Oh, but he can do like an after, an after wedding something or other." And I said, "Okay, fine, I'm okay with that." And I had way more fun with that anyway. I was interviewing different people throughout the night, and I was splicing their comments and their warm wishes to everybody. And I went up to my grandmother, and I said, "Graham, I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to honestly answer them." And Graham looked at me confused, and I said, I know people are going to have a tough time understanding you. Don't worry, I'll take care of that. So I asked my grandmother some questions, and she answered, and it was all very garbled and really rough. And my mom was like, afterwards said, "T, what are you doing?" I said, "Mom, trust me." So we're all watching it as a family. Gets up to Graham's segment. She starts talking, and I put in subtitles. And I said something like, "Michelle, Johnny, I was so happy to see you two get married. I wish you many years together, and seeing you together brings me such joy." And my mom started getting a little choked up. My aunt was getting a little choked up. My grandmother was smiling. And then and she keeps going, and the subtitle said, "T, you were always my favorite. Don't let anybody tell you different. You were always my favorite." Everybody loses it. And in parentheses, I put, "No, really, that's what she said." So, yeah, that was the kind of editor I was, and still am. But that type of stuff, Windows Movie Maker, I did a little something in, I think it was for one of the editions of Podcasting for Dummies, and I was doing that. I was doing a segment of Windows Movie Maker, and oh my god, I hated it. I hated every friggin' moment of it. It was terrible. Okay, good news, it is locating the media. It's just taking its sweet time. So we'll get there eventually. Hopefully I'll be starting video editing within the half hour. We'll see. Attention, all personnel. Ads in 15 seconds. Ads in 15 seconds. That is all. So this would be a good time if anybody has any questions. If anybody has any questions about what... that reminds me, Spence. Would you... Now, I don't know if you're going to be around, if you were going to head back Sunday night, or if you were going to just go on ahead and spend Sunday night with us. I'm going to do a special Sunday night stream next week. And it's basically a special birthday stream for Don't Panic. And Panic is got a birthday coming. And I don't know if you know about what was going on with her, but she had to do an emergency move. And she's feeling a little down because she says, quote unquote, I'm all alone on my birthday. And I want her to know that she's not alone. I want her to know that she is the farthest thing from alone. So I'm doing a special Panic's Bears birthday picnic, something like that. And thank you, Carrot Man. Thank you very much for that. Now this is a true Yank thing right here. I got sweet tea in a mason jar. So cheers to you, Carrot. By the way, Carrot, if you ever get up, where's my phone? Where's my phone? I'm missing my phone. So I'll do this instead. In honor of my kidney stone. There you go. Thank you for saying on top of that, it was probably something about finding cheap labor somewhere, something like that. That's right. I need a hammer emote. I need to make a hammer emote with a sound effect. I'm going to have to get on that. So I'll put it on the list of things I need to do. Meanwhile, I'm going to go to IG. And we're going to go to, Yikes. I'm trying to remember. I'm just going to take a guess on this. I thought I was logged in, but I guess I'm not. Nope. I'll have to look it up. Okay. And guess what? My password? Yeah, that's on my phone. Jeez. I thought I was ready for this stream. Okay. Let's, or did I use... No, I don't think I used, the Book of Face. I don't think I used that. Let's try that. Can I just look? Okay, great. Yes, perfect. Okay, I was just gonna... Really? I can't even look now without signing up. Wow. You suck, Instagram. Okay. Hello. Okay. I'll have to try to tell you about what's happening in Watford. If you find yourself in Watford in November, where there's a market going on there, Carrot, make sure to look up Slammin' Sauces. That's Slammin' Sauces. If you want to add a little zip to your chicken, or just get a taste of hot sauce, locally brewed in the UK, I might add. That my buddy Marv, the big Marvinsky, is going to be at a market. One is in Watford, and there's another one he mentioned, and I can't see it now. It's basically meta now. I know it's meta, and it sucks. Oh, by the way, L's House by the Sea. Hey, L, good to see you over on YouTube. Nice to have you here. But anyway, yeah, Carrot. I got we got a friend of the stream. He sometimes shows up. He's also from the UK, the Big Marvinsky. But if you want to find out what he's been doing on the side, go on ahead and follow Slammin'. That's not slamming, but Slammin', ending in an N. Slammin' Sauces on Instagram, and you'll see what he gets up to. It's pretty cool. So anyway, if you are interested in doing some streaming, either from the media room or from here, Spence, we can crowd in a second chair and we can make that happen. We can just do a little happy birthday stream. I'm hoping that I can get within the next week, if I can get Panic to find like a little like an inexpensive little Logitech camera, and we can get them streaming at least on a basic level. We can then have them join us for a game of Magique, and then you can watch over my shoulder as I play with some other Mana Buds. I'm trying to figure out the logistics of it. But we'll see. L, I hope you're having a good day. I hope you're having a good week. I hope you had a nice Halloween. I'm keeping an eye on the time while I wait for this footage to load. I know the footage is loading. I have no idea why it's taking so long. This is one of those things where if I really wanted to, I would just say, F it, I'm just going to reboot the computer, because I'm not used to this type of loading up of media taking so long. Now, one of the problems that I do have with this particular media, we'll see how the weekend pans out. Very cool. Okay. Oh, you were Ghostface? We had a couple of Ghostface show up for our trick-or-treating. We had a really interesting costume come up twice. It was the only way I can describe them is that they're the neon or LED style of costumes. It was a skeleton, but then they had one of those those masks that you saw in what was it? The Purge. Those neon masks that have the tubing and all that stuff, the LED masks from The Purge. That was the mask, but then they had, in that same LED tube lighting, they had a heart in the rib cage of the skeleton outfit. It's pretty interesting. Freddy was Adval from JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. I am not familiar with that IP. I'm just going to come out and say it. I am not familiar with that particular IP. We have a much younger crowd. We have a younger crowd here in the area, and it was funny because I was told anime. Gotcha. Now we did have the night, I can say the night ended on One Piece. The night did end on One Piece, and we caught that right away. And could I tell you Twitch Dad hasn't watched Peak? No. Matter of fact, I just started Down Cemetery Road. I just started that. Down Cemetery Road is another Apple TV offering, and it's done by the same writer who does Slow Horses. Also, Emma Thompson is one of the writers, and she's in it. And if you love yourself some Emma Thompson, and you want to know what happens to goths when they turn 70, it's Emma Thompson in Down Cemetery Road. It's really good. Had a movie night for Halloween, but I am wanting to get a Marty McFly costume. Oh my God. That's very 80s rific of you, Carrot. If I was to do any costume, I'm actually itching to do the dude. I want to do the dude from the Big Lebowski, and just so I can walk around and go, "Hey, man, I got a beverage here," that kind of thing. I mean, it's been a while since. Well, the funny thing was, we introduced during the pandemic, we were reaching back to introduce to Sam a variety of stuff that we wanted to make sure she had in her in their nerd repertoire, and we introduced them to some pretty hysterical films. I mean, probably the thing that I felt as a crowning achievement for me as a parent was when I said, we're going to do a double feature tonight. You're just going to have to trust me. So we watched the Magnificent Seven, which, by the way, if you didn't know, true story, the Magnificent Seven is the original Magnificent Seven, not the remake, from Antoine Fuqua, which was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. But the Magnificent Seven, the original one with Yul Brynner and Steve McQueen, I mean, it was a parade of like the machismo men of the of that era. You had Yul Brynner, you had Steve McQueen, you had I believe, hang on, Robert Vaughn is in this film. I'm trying to remember some of the other. I think Charles Bronson might have been, a very young Charles Bronson might have been in this film. But anyway, but it was a who's who of the machismo actors and action stars of the 60s. And I showed them the Magnificent Seven so they could have a frame of reference of what a Western, a classic Western is. Then we watched Blazing Saddles. There has never been quite a double feature. Well, now remember, in Blazing Saddles, the N word is dropped within the first 5 minutes, and I mean, it's one of those many memories that I have. With one of those great family memories that I will always enjoy telling. So we watched Mag 7. I put on Blazing Saddles, and already Sam and Twitch Mom, they're kind of standoffish because I introduced them to Young Frankenstein and it didn't go well, and I realized it's because they didn't have the frame of reference. If they had watched Frankenstein and then we'd watched Young Frankenstein, I think that would have given both Pip and Sam more of a reference. So this time we did the double feature. So we're 5 minutes in, and the guy says, give us an old N-Works song. Pip and Sam both flip their heads at me, and they go, what? And I said, just wait. And when Cleavon Little looks at the group of racist cowboys and says, I get no kick from champagne, and then everybody starts harmonizing behind him. I see both Pip and Sam sit back and go, oh, we're doing this, are we? Okay, I'm in. And I kid you not, for a week after watching Blazing Saddles, our kid would at random say to me and to Twitch Mom, hey Mom, Dad, where the white women at? There was a part of me that was proud, but there was another part of me that's like, child, you can only do that in this house. You can only do that in this house. Oh man, the ways that we kept ourselves grounded during the and also during the pandemic. After we had finished Ghost of Tsushima, my wife and I, we invited Sam to join us, but Sam it's funny, when it comes to movies, Sam is very gun shy about investing that kind of time into a movie.
Excuse me while I whip this.
There you go. Oh, that was another one that's another one she quoted. Man, oh God. Whew. But we after we finished watching after we both finished Ghost of Tsushima, we watched The Seven Samurai, and I would recommend that to all of you, both of you on YouTube as well as on Twitch. if you're playing Ghost of Yote or Ghost of Tsushima, after you're done, watch the Seven Samurai. Not Miyazaki. I'm sorry. Hang on. The Kurosawa. Thank you. The Kurosawa classic. And you'll find out when you watch the Seven Samurai how much that had been carbon copied in all different ways, from Star Wars all the way to the Magnificent Seven. Such a brilliant film. I'm planning to make a whole list of horror movies to binge watch. It's going to destroy my sleep out of fear, but some things have to be sacrificed for the greater good, and horror is for the greater good. Every other word you just said sent me down a different train of thought, for better or for worse. Well, there you go. So I got some recommendations for you, El, both old and new. Make sure that on that list that you have for horror films, Talk to Me. The film is called Talk to Me. Absolutely brilliant. I watched Talk to Me the day before Phil and I were supposed to give a talk at a library about being ghost hunters, and I referenced it several times. And Phil just said, "You were really rattled by this film," and I said, "I'm not kidding, Phil. I was really rattled by this film." Talk to Me. I also would put in on that list Goijang Haunted Asylum. It is, yeah, that's the thing, Carrot. I prefer horror that has a mood, that has atmosphere to it, which is why I think Asian horror tends to really flip me out the hardest. Goijang Haunted Asylum was one. It was that one's out of South Korea. Oh, topping my list of horror films, but some people say, well, that's more of an action film. No, it's a horror film. Just the slow burn to get to that final point, and then that ending just breaks your heart. Train to Busan. Train to Busan, put that on there. Put the original Alien on there, and back that up with the director's cut of Aliens. Hereditary. Okay, Carrot, here's the thing. You want to talk about a film. It has, I'm trying to think of any. I don't want to say it has a lot of jump scares, but yeah, Train to Busan is cinema. Preach, Freddie, preach. I love Train to Busan. And I heard so much negative feedback about Peninsula, which was the sequel to Train to Busan, that I was like, okay, I'm not gonna spoil this. I'm just gonna stay in here. But Hereditary is very atmospheric. Yeah, exactly. Oh, the whole jump scare thing is why you like Get Out so much. Interesting. Very interesting. Of Jordan Peele's offerings, Nope was so much fun. It starts off as a horror movie, then it stops being a horror movie, then it becomes a horror movie again. So yeah, Nope I would put on there just because it's freaking Jordan Peele. It's freaking Jordan Peele. You still haven't watched Train. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good one. It's a good one. And that's the thing. I'm not big on horror movies, but I'm very picky about the horror movies that I watch. Event Horizon is a terrific one. Event Horizon is I just got a remastered 4K edition of Event Horizon, and I freaking love Event Horizon. It's still loading the media, so we have time. We'll just kick back. Trying to think of some of the other horror movies. Phil likes to subject me to horror films. Okay. This one was a horror movie because we lived it. There's a movie, a little indie horror film, that absolutely freaked me the F out because it was way deeper than I expected it to be. And it was set during the pandemic. It's called The Harbinger. And at the same time, there was another movie that came out. It was called The Harbinger. But this one, you know it's the right one because the poster of it, the cover for The Harbinger, has somebody in a plague doctor mask. Yeah. It's a plague doctor mask, and it's called the Harbinger. And it was actually making a almost a supernatural connection to what was happening during the pandemic and the aftermath of the pandemic. And it was no, Freddie, that I sat through that. Oof, that was rough. That was rough. A comedy horror, I Sell the Dead. Okay. Oh, it's got Dominic Moynihan. Well, you had me at him. I got to look this up. I mean, when it comes to horror comedy, you got to watch Shaun of the Dead. You got to put Shaun of the Dead on there. Warm Bodies is another great horror comedy. And, yeah. So now we're starting to get back a bit. We're starting to go back a bit in time. So I would put on there The Others with Nicole Kidman. It was produced by Tom Cruise. Oh, that's true. Edgar Wright is always a win. That's true. But The Others, at least for me, The Others hits differently. It hits differently because I'm in paranormal investigation. And because of that, the whole movie just lands very differently. I never saw any of the 28 movies, like 28 Days, 28 Weeks, or 28 Years. In fact, Pip wants me to watch 28 Days with her. She's already seen it, but she wants me to rewatch it with her. And then we're going to skip 28 Weeks because apparently even Danny Boyle didn't like the way 28 Weeks finished. And then we're gonna watch 28 Years later. I mean, it's got Ralph Fiennes, so there's that. So Elle, we're throwing a lot of these out here. So just take notes. That's all I can say. Take notes. What about Lake Mungo? I do not know that one. I do not know Lake Mungo. I've heard about Long Legs. I've heard a lot of good things about Long Legs. Of course, Carrie and It. Yeah, good choices there. I think though some people have said that It makes a better series than it does a movie. So that's just something to consider. Lake Placid just for Betty White. I mean, if you want to do just a classic, an utter classic, Psycho, that'll mess you up. I always go back and rewatch Psycho, and it's a masterpiece. It is a masterpiece of bait and switch, and just it's amazing. I watched Lake Mungo, and it was all right, very grounded, which might be why I didn't like it quite as much as some of the other horrors. I'm trying to think of some. Oh, we were just talking about this movie actually. Now it would be hard to find, but it's worth it. It was made during the what I call the dark era of Disney. They did a horror movie. They actually did two horror movies. One's called The Watcher in the Woods, which is actually quite good, but it was not half as creepy. And Al, this one I think you need to put on your list because it in my opinion it is one of those movies that had it been made a few years later, I think it would have landed better. But it was so far ahead of its time, in my opinion. The movie's called Something Wicked This Way Comes, based on a Ray Bradbury novel. He wrote the screenplay for it, and it is not necessarily gross, not necessarily visceral, but the mood of it. The mood of it is so effing creepy. Okay. Found footage movies, man, those are tough to pull off. I really believe that. The found footage movies are tough to pull off. I mean, Blair Witch did an amazing job on it. The original Blair Witch did an amazing job on doing that. But the thing is that it's one of those gimmicks that you can do only once, and then the ones that follow afterwards, they're missing something, you know? And I'm trying to think of some other good horror movies that are not necessarily Blair Witch. But we're in and around that time. Or even some of the classics that I grew up with. I think it's worth watching because not just because, 50th anniversary of this classic. And you have Jaws, you have Alien. Oh shit! I almost forgot this one. John Carpenter's remake of The Thing. Not only, and now here's the thing. Here's the thing about John Carpenter's The Thing. Okay, when you go into it, you got to remember this was the 80s and people were pushing some of those boundaries when it came to special effects. And stop motion was on its way out. Dr. Giggles. I'm familiar with Dr. Giggles. But the thing about John Carpenter's The Thing, the guy who did the makeup effects for it, Rob Bottin, he was given carte blanche to do some really amazing practical effects. And some of the practical effects he did, even for the 80s, were groundbreaking. And when they work really well. When they don't work, it's a little cringeworthy, but at that point, you're invested. Just suspend disbelief and just roll with it. Because the ending of John Carpenter's Thing kept me awake for days. John Carpenter, in my opinion, you cannot convince me any different. John Carpenter created the perfect ending for a horror movie in The Thing. And it was definitely one of my favorite horror movies from the 80s. And but you gotta pepper it with some of the classics too, El. You gotta pepper it with some of the classics as well. I mean, there's nothing wrong with watching the original Dracula from the 1930s. Yeah, that's it. Shape-shifting alien in the Arctic, in the Antarctic. Yes, that's it. But watching Dracula from the 1930s and watching the original Mummy. Oh, that was, there was some good stuff. There was some good stuff back in the day. And then they all did, they went for the atmosphere. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot in the horror pantheon for you to go through. But I think the real problem I find with horror movies is that they're either very good or very cheesy. And some people enjoy the cheese. And I guess me as an actor, a buddy of mine once said, you never stop acting. If you're an actor for your life. And I'm like, okay, I'll roll with that. But as an actor, I always felt like it was cheapening of the craft, because I think it is harder. Some actors would argue that comedy is hard, and I'm like, no. Horror is hard. Writing horror is hard. Performing in horror is hard because when you say, well, people have a wide spectrum of what they find funny and what they don't find funny. But I think it's an even broader spectrum on what does and does not scare people. And I would argue that it's tougher to scare people because you don't know what everyone's trigger is. Is the point of the ending of The Thing is that it ties it back to the Norwegian base? No. See, Carrot, the second thing that came out that was set on the Norwegian base, that was the prequel, and it was more about, it was one of those endings like you get in, there's another classic you got to have in your list, is the original Halloween, directed by John Carpenter. And when you watch it, it's funny, Pip said this is a lot slower than I thought it would be. But then when it starts, it never lets up. But it's that buildup. It's that buildup that gets you. The other thing too is that when you watch it, you got to look at it as John Carpenter made this movie for pennies on the dollar. I think he made the movie for like maybe $10K, maybe $20K. It cost. He basically maxed out his credit cards. And the movie within its first weekend made $10 million, and this was in the 70s. So yeah, but I do some acting, and I don't think comedy is too hard if you find the right niche, because there are so many types of content. Exactly. There you go. Attention, all personnel. Ads in 15 seconds. Ads in 15 seconds. That is all. Now, for those of you over on YouTube, you're not going to see ads, and this is just a way that Twitch pays the bills and keeps the lights on. Good news, I'm making progress. I wish I knew why this was acting so. I wish I knew why this was acting so slow, but there it is. But I am making progress on the. Oh, and it's 8 o'clock. Wow. This might be a just chat. Maybe just chatting is appropriate for the category for both Twitch and YouTube. The Slender Man movie is also on that list. I know people hate it, but you like the idea of it. Yeah. The Slender Man movie, I think, came out like 5 years too late. But then again, I think part of the reason why the Slender Man movie was so slow in coming out was because of the murder that took place dealing with it. Really secondhand. Did you do a Windows update? It may have. Honestly, I've heard so much trash talk about Windows 11 and Windows 10 that at this point I'm just kind of cruising. I'm just kind of rolling with it. If I get a chance to edit some video while with you all tonight, great. If tonight is just us talking about horror movies, I'm good with that too. I'm good with that too. So yeah, I see what you mean, Al. Now, I'll give you one that has polarized quite a few people, but I think it is something of a horror movie that I think is very underrated. It's a movie called Sunshine, and it was done by Danny Boyle, and it was a really interesting premise and concept for a horror movie. But it starts off as hard science fiction, and then it just starts to descend into horror. But it's basically set a few years in the future, and the sun is starting to go out. So they need to kickstart the sun by detonating a nuclear device, like a super nuclear device within the sun, or in the sun, or within the vicinity of the sun, or something like that. And the cast is phenomenal. The cast is absolutely incredible in Sunshine. Mark Strong is in the cast. Cillian Murphy. Cillian? It's Cillian Murphy. Cillian Murphy? Killian Murphy. I think it's Cillian Murphy. Cillian Murphy. Chris Evans is in the movie. Michelle Yeoh is in the movie. Really, really good film. Really good film. No. Armageddon was the one with the meteor. Sunshine is one directed by Danny Boyle. Hard K for Killian? Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate the heads up on that. And, for somebody that does not really grok horror movies, I notice when I talk about them, I have a pretty good background on horror movies. Good and bad. But I think I'm just very picky. I'm very, very picky about my horror movies. And I also want to go into a movie with a sense of comfort. And I don't feel comfortable. In fact, that was the thing that Phil said. Every time we go over to the Rossi's house, and I'm sure it's going to happen once they get up and once they get into the Lynchburg area here. they always want to introduce me to a horror movie. Phil loves horror movies. Now, it is not necessarily indicative, nor is it a part of the body of work of a paranormal investigator to like horror movies. Okay, I want to make that clear. So horror movies for Phil Rossi though are just absolutely, man. He loves them horror movies, and he said, I like watching horror movies that I've watched before. You know, oh shoot, there's another horror movie you should have in that collection, Al. Sinners. Now, some would debate that Sinners is not a horror movie. I say it is, because there were some truly horrific, some truly terrifying things that happened in Sinners. So I would go on ahead and I would add Sinners to that. Also, it's a kicking soundtrack. Now, but the thing is, Phil likes to watch me watch horror movies. Which is kind of like secondhand, which is kind of like what Aliens is. Oh man, the ending of Darby O'Gill, that was the one, if I remember correctly, that was the one where the black coach rides up and I think it was a headless driver, and he goes, Darby O'Gill, and then the door opens. Spence, that traumatized me as a kid. Traumatized me. You better believe Sinners is going on that list. I mean, I dealt with some trauma back in the days. I mean, I remember how terrifying the tunnel scene was in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I remember the child catcher, which also traumatized Sam for a bit when Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. But man, that Darby O'Gill scene, good gravy. I was traumatized by that. Never forget that. That was redonkulous. Sean Connery, I know. So anyway, yeah, how you doing there, Heichenberg? Good to have you here. So Heichenberg, we were supposed to be doing a footage review of an investigation that I did a few months ago. It was supposed to be our Halloween special for Old Spirits. It's not going to be our Christmas special. But Premiere is taking its time loading the media. So we're just talking right now about favorite horror movies. But I was going to basically open up the discussion to just about anything. This could be an AMA. Let me go ahead and let me set that up. Ask me anything about paranormal investigation. Let's see, footage. Let's see. Ask me anything paranormal, then footage review. There we go. That'll work. So yeah. As we're waiting for the footage to load, I don't know why Adobe has decided now, hey, we're gonna do this to you now, but it is what it is, and I'm going ahead. Hot take: The Witches. See, I didn't see The Witches. I did see Witch with Anna Taylor-Joy, which again, that was on the creepy level. That was on the creepier level of stuff. I gotta let Andy know. So you're planning on doing it still tonight? That's a plan. Yes, that's my plan. So so we have that. I've never seen Wolf, but then again, you know, when you talk about terrific horror films with Jack Nicholson, The Shining is right up there. I remember daring I remember daring the fates when we had this wicked snowstorm. I mean, a wicked blizzard. And I was this was shortly after Natalie's death. So I was kind of trying to be as self-sufficient as possible. but Sam was sick, and me having the overactive imagination that I have, I was like, okay, I got to be able to get out of here in case Sam gets really sick, because she wasn't getting any better. So I kept every hour on the hour I was digging myself out of the. I tried it for like 4 hours to just try to keep myself dug out so that I had a way of getting onto the main roads. And after hour 4 at 2 in the morning, I said, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I'll just have to make the best of it. But during the blizzard, I was watching The Shining. I was like, what am I doing? What the hell am I doing? Has anyone seen Krampus? I have not, but I know that you just mentioned secondhand Dr. Sleep. So what's really interesting about Dr. Sleep is Dr. Sleep was the sweet sequel to The Shining, of course. But the director, who also wrote the screenplay for Dr. Sleep, realized about halfway through the film, oh crap, I've got kind of a problem here. Because as much as Stephen King did not care for the Shining adaptation by Kubrick, he really hated it from what I understand. One of the things that the director of Dr. Sleep, the writer and director of Dr. Sleep, had to deal with was, oh crap, I'm writing a sequel not just to a book, but to a book and a movie, because The Shining has been so iconic when you think about it. The film, it did not get great reviews, but people, very much in the vein of Kubrick, look back on it and go, oh my God, this was brilliant. And what's really tricky about The Shining film is that it deviated really hard from the book. So he basically had to write a sequel based on Stephen King's novel and Stanley Kubrick's film, and he pulled it off. It's great. It's a tough watch in the intro. Oh my God. You see what Danny's been going through since The Shining, and oh man, it's tough. And bless Ewan McGregor. Ewan McGregor, whoo, he's amazing. He's amazing in the film. So yeah, it's well, that's the thing about the Shining movie. It is very slow. It is very slow and it's very tedious, and I think that was, especially with Kubrick, that was done on purpose. It's a tough watch for me to watch now because so I talk a little bit. All right, so fun fact about Twitch Dad. I sometimes when cons, give me a chance, give me the opportunity, I will go and I'll give presentations, and specifically the presentation that I like to bring to a lot of sci-fi conventions, and I'd love to do it at Twitch one day, but I don't think they'll ever do that because they want to do Twitch-centric stuff. But I have a talk that I give. In the humblest way possible. I think I'm a decent actor, but writing plays and screenplays is so hard. I have the utmost respect for writers. Well, speaking as a writer, Carrot, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I got to say, that's what I appreciate about you.
So there you go. Both Trick or Treat and Krampus are going on the list. There you go, Al. There you go. But the thing that I like to do is I have this talk that I give. It's called The Big Score, and I talk about the evolution of the science fiction, fantasy, horror movie soundtrack, and I talk about the evolution in the genre all the way from the 1930s all the way up to today. And I have a section in there where I talk about 2001: A Space Odyssey, and I tell this infamous story about Alex North, who wrote original music for 2001: A Space Odyssey, and the story is true. He was under the gun so hard with having 2001: A Space Odyssey done, the score done, by the time that Kubrick wanted it, that he was pushing himself to the limit, to a point of where during a rehearsal he threw his back out while conducting, and he was so neurotic. This is Alex North. In getting the script done, he actually was on some type of wireless telephone from the 60s, because it was more or less a glorified walkie-talkie, but he was giving notes to the assistant conductor while working on stuff while in traction. He got the score done in time, but it wasn't that Stanley Kubrick didn't have the heart to tell him, well, I've decided I'm going to use the demo reels, which was all the classical music, and it was working so well. He said, I think I've got my score here. It wasn't that he felt bad about telling Alex North, for all the work you've done, hey, look, I'll make sure you get paid and everything, but I'm not going to need your music, thanks. He just didn't bother to tell him. So Alex North is sitting there. He is sitting there in the premiere of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and it starts. The movie starts, and not one note of his music is in there. Not one. And it was because Stanley Kubrick couldn't be bothered to tell him, oh yeah, he didn't even have the impetus to tell one of his assistants, yeah, go and tell Alex, thanks, but I don't need any of this music. You're cool. We're good. Well, I'll make sure you get paid, but you're good. So, but that was, and the thing, and how this ties in with The Shining is, this is the kind of, see, some people say that Stanley Kubrick is an auteur, and I'm like, no, he's an asshole. If auteur is French for asshole, then fine, he is an auteur. He is the biggest auteur that you'll ever meet. Not to be confused with Hawkteur, but that's a different discussion altogether. But the thing about The Shining was that Stanley Kubrick, I read stories about the way he treated Shelley Duvall. And let me tell you something. I don't know what the relation is between Shelley Duvall and Robert Duvall, but Robert Duvall is a big man, and he was a big man back in the day when he was in the in the 80s when The Shining was being made, and if Robert Duvall had one of those things where he would defend his family, I'm amazed he didn't show up on the set of The Shining and didn't kick the shit out of this guy, because Kubrick was a monster towards her. And Shelley Duvall held the Guinness World Record for most takes ever given on a scene. I believe it was 127, and it was the bat scene. Where she's swinging the bat at Jack Nicholson, and the reason when you hear her and she sounds so choked up, and that's not acting. She really was a mess. And Kubrick was basically telling people, don't help her, don't be nice to her, just tell her to suck it up and do it, because it's part of the gig. And Nicholson even went on record as saying, I've never seen anybody be put through the ringer like that, and I cannot believe that she put up with it. And this was one of the things, Carrot, I mean, I considered myself a good actor back in the day. I considered myself a reliable actor back in the day. And my thoughts about directors like Kubrick, I had a couple that were, at least one or two, that really played mind games. And I hated working with people like that. I'm like, look, this is not, maybe you think you're on a higher level than me, but I know for a fact we're on this level. Kubrick is at this level. And even at that level, I don't know how much I could deal with it. A lot of people said that Kubrick was responsible for Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman splitting up. Because he was such an asshat to them. And the thing is, when you read about the stories of him on the show, Scatman Crothers I mean, Scatman Crothers, for example. North suffered North suffered top 10 anime betrayals. Alex North suffered top 10 anime betrayals. I don't get that reference, but I'll roll with it. Where, I mean, so Scatman Crothers in The Shining, he had a scene where he had to get out of a car. He just had to get out of the car, right? He had to get out of the, or he has to get out of the Bobcat, out of the little bulldozer, the snowplow that gets him up to the hotel. Scatman Crothers on Stanley Kubrick's notes, he literally got out of that cab 70 times. And Scatman Crothers finally said around the 50th take, he said, "Man, how many times do I have to get out of a cab? How many different ways can I get out of this damn thing?" And he was exhausted after that shoot. And it was just him getting out of a snowplow. So yeah. I like the films of Stanley Kubrick. They're like, to me, when they work, they're amazing. Dr. Strangelove is a cinematic classic. The Shining, cinematic classic. 2001: A Space Odyssey, groundbreaking. Some directors cannot figure out how he made those special effects happen back in 1968, 67, 68. But do I think The Shining, again, great film, but do I think that you can be a creative genius, you can be very good at what you do and still be something of a prick? And to me, life is too short. I love being creative. I love being in a creative field like this, like video editing and content creation, things like that. But it's just, life is too short to be a dick. It's that simple. Life is too short to be a dick. So yeah. Yes, exactly. And that L is a very dangerous, that's a very dangerous attitude to take, because some directors did that, and some directors did that, and it cost people their lives. It's a forgotten. It goes as a forgotten black mark against a one-time really genius director. There was a guy named John Landis, and back in the day, he made some absolute banger films. He directed the Blues Brothers movie, which is one of the funniest and one of the wildest movies ever made. It's genius. John Landis also did An American Werewolf in London shortly after he did the Blues Brothers film, and great movie, An American Werewolf in London. It's very tongue in cheek. It's got a wry sense of humor. It is terrifying in some moments. Great film. But what you may not know about John Landis was he was also a director, one of the directors tapped in the 80s to do. In the 80s to do a film so in the 80s, it was becoming a thing to take TV IPs and put them on the big screen. Give them a big, should I add that to the list of horror movies? American Werewolf in London? Yeah. Oh, because if I remember correctly, the same guy who did the practical effects for The Thing also did those special effects in American Werewolf in London. And whatever he was doing in The Thing, he perfected it in American Werewolf. But then, so back in the early 80s, it was becoming popular to take IPs from television and put them on the big screen. And there was a big, it was a big deal. It was a big deal. They got, let's see, I'm trying to remember, they got four of the big directors of Hollywood to agree to do Twilight Zone, the movie. and it was Steven Spielberg. It was Steven Spielberg. It was John Landis. It was. I'm trying to remember. Was it Robert Zemeckis? It might have been Robert Zemeckis. No, it was Joe Dante. It was Joe Dante. So it was Spielberg, Dante, Landis, and then George Miller. And you didn't mishear me. George Miller, as in the Road Warrior George Miller. And each of them took an episode of The Twilight Zone, and they redid it with a modern cast, modern special effects, modern spin, modern rewrite, and they just ran with it. But John Landis said, I'm going to do an original Twilight Zone. So he basically did an original Twilight Zone, or he did an original story with a feel of the Twilight Zone. And it wasn't the weakest of the batch, but it definitely was one of the more forgettable ones. It was definitely one of the more forgettable ones, which is a real shame because of what happened. And what had happened was that he was filming this big, so basically it was one of those redemption arc stories for this guy who was horribly racist. And then he was being kicked through time to, throughout different racist situations. And there was supposed to be this scene where I guess he basically rescues these two kids during a night military exercise moment or military excursion moment in Vietnam. And they were over budget. They were well beyond their deadlines or well beyond their schedules. And, the actors were miserable. The crew was miserable. They were trying their best to work through the night. And it was already awkward to begin with because apparently he had two children that he was doing, two kids that were with him that were in this scene. And in the investigation, people were like, "Why were these kids up that late? Where were their guardians?" And of course, because they were filming in Southeast Asia, there were some liberties taken about the hours that they could keep on the set. But where things really went wrong was that the helicopter that was supposed to be picking them up, and he had the two kids and he was carrying them to the helicopter, and what had happened was there were these pyrotechnics going off, supposed to be the shells coming in and everything. And apparently one of the canisters, they had not removed the top properly. And when that canister exploded, the top of the canister became basically a projectile. And it shot through the air and it took out one of the rotors in the helicopter. I believe it was the rear rotor of the helicopter. And the helicopter lost control and landed on actor Vic Morrow and the two kids. So that kind of cast a shadow over John Landis and over, but John Landis was one of those directors. He's one of those directors, that was like, we got to get the shot, we got to get it done. But it made people start to rethink how auteurs and how directors would go above and beyond to try to get that magic shot. And the movie still released. That was the wildest part of all. The movie, they still released the movie. They completely changed the way the segment ended with John Landis. There was a brief moment in Vietnam, but man, they kept it to the bare minimum. And that whole rescue sequence never happened. It never happened. Sadly, the film was not that good. The only redeeming thing about Twilight Zone the movie was the segment. I mean, Steven Spielberg, his stuff was kind of half baked. Dante's stuff, it was kind of half. It felt like they phoned it in. Then came George Miller's segment. And George Miller, again, the guy who did, Fury Road, who did the Mad Max films, Miller did a retelling of Nightmare at 30,000 Feet. That's the one where Shatner sees the gremlin on the wing of the plane. Instead of it being Bill Shatner, though, it was John Lithgow. And let me tell you something. I don't know if you'd want to add that to your list, L, but here's the caveat. Twilight Zone the movie, but jump ahead to the end where it's the George Miller segment. That was an exercise in fear that just blew my mind, and it was a marvel to watch, and it was the best thing in the film. Did it rescue the film? Not quite. Attention, all personnel. Ads in 15 seconds. Ads in 15 seconds. That is all. Want to hear some wild chat? We just passed the halfway mark of Adobe locating the media for this project. We just passed the halfway point. This is a new one for me, chat. This is a new one for me. But I'm hanging in there. But you were saying, I think some directors think a good movie is worth taking precautions, and others think anything worth making that movie happens. And the lesson: don't be a prick when making films. Honestly, I think it's more about when it comes to doing creative things. I think it's essential to know that it's okay to push people, but when you see that limit reached, you need to pump the brakes and go, okay, how can we make this better? If we're not meeting in the middle, what can we do to accomplish the goal? I mean, that is a topic for another day. I mean, talking about how do you make a creative project happen when not everyone on your team is on board? That's a tricky one. That is a super tricky one. Human sacrifice, not viable. Also, not really a sustainable future. Not really a sustainable path forward when you think about it. But as far as making films, I mean, even when you're creating content like I'm doing with YouTube, just putting it in a smaller perspective, I tell people, it's like, look, if you start feeling like you're burned out, if you start feeling like you're oh jeez. I am about to kill that cat. So, completely switching gears, Dorito is he's testing the waters. He is testing the waters. Dorito, the tabby cat that was one of the gifts from Evie when we rescued Evie. He's got this thing now where he will come up here, and if I've got stuff on this shelf, he'll just knock it down to get my attention. And he has been testing that boundary. Even the sight of my last line of defense against Dorito, he started becoming immune to it. But if I get it in my hand and I point it in the direction, man, he knows it's coming. I guarantee you, he is lurking out there right now. I'm torn about adding Jeepers Creepers to the list because I've heard it's popular, but the director is just a nightmare. If you don't know, you don't want to. Trust me. I don't know. Who is the director of the original Jeepers Creepers? That's an interesting one. I'm now curious about that. Or I'm at least curious about who the director of the original Jeepers Creepers is. So anyway. I will promise you this. As late as it is, I'm still going to try to get in some footage review. What concerns me, chat, is how slow it's taking to load the media. And then once the media is loaded, is there going to be a problem? So that's my only thing. If it's not going to do me any good. Okay, it sees everything. It's pulling stuff up now. But it's got to work. It's got to be able to play back. If it doesn't play back, you know, we're spinning our wheels. Well, hello, Vi. How are you? How are you, Viola? Okay. We're going to take a quick break from talking about maniacal directors and talking about poor choices made in the creative field, and we're also taking a break from horror movies to have a little cat moment. So let's switch over to the cat cam. Would you like some treats? You know what? You've earned those treats because you haven't knocked over things like some people in this house. Yes. Whoop. Don't mind me. I love my cats. I love my cats. They are... I have no regrets. I have no regrets. I love them dearly. But man, do they test me? Oh, they test me. They test me, all right. They test me. All right. So let's take a look. Now this says revisit of the playroom, but let's see. There's downstairs. There's downstairs, and there's the downstairs here, and there's the live stream. Okay, and then this is the. So this must have been. Yeah, this is where I left off. We were moving into the playroom, and. I'm just going to do a quick test first to see how it plays. Or, in this case, if it plays. After all that, it's still trying to figure... Hello? Okay, what if I manually scrub? Does it move? It does not. Okay, that does not bode well. All right, I'm going to hang in there with this, though. We've made progress. But before I tap out, I want to see if I can get this to work. We have the revisit downstairs for 1 hour and 27 minutes. Then we have the revisit downstairs. Now this says downstairs, opening and vigil. Okay. All right, and then we have here the live stream cam sequence. And of course, we have the live stream, and then we have the playroom. Okay. So one of the other things that we have on here, and it might be what is slowing down some of the software here, but okay, no problem, Mel. I hope I have given you and chat has given you a lot to add to your list. So thanks for hanging out, and you take care of yourself, okay? And again, chat, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on Twitch, if you're just hanging out, if you're lurking in the background doing something else, that's fine. I'm more than cool with that. I don't mind being your background noise. I'm more than cool with that. If you have questions, though, if you're sitting in stream and you're like, I got a question about the paranormal, or I've got a question about, what goes into paranormal investigation, please do not hesitate to ask. Part of the reason why I've been doing things like the Grim Gazette and doing this is so that I can help bring in a different look and a different feel to paranormal investigation. It's not all sleeve tats and guys screaming demon and people screaming at the walls that they refuse to be possessed and that they rebuke you, blah 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 blah. It's not all that. There's a process and there is a flow to everything that we do in paranormal investigation. And I, for one, would like to be able to show... okay. I would like to show people all sides of it. So what we're doing here, if I recall correctly, is we are about to get into the playroom, and this is our and keep in mind, this is our second visit to this location. Now, for the time being, I'm going to take out the advertisement for the new book, but you've had that up there. You can always check that in your VODs. You can go ahead and take a look at that. Yes, we have a book. We have done a book. Me and Phil made a book of short stories, and we're pretty freaking proud of it. And it's called Inspired by True Events. And if you were around yesterday for the Grim Gazette, where I did my paranormal deep dive discussion about what's going on at Penhurst Asylum, there is a story that actually kind of touches on that in Inspired by True Events. It's called Ghosts in the Machine, and I had a great time writing it. But what we're going to do now is we're actually going to review the footage from this particular investigation. Now, the footage that you're looking at, this will eventually become our Christmas special, because it was supposed to be our Halloween. Excuse me. It was supposed to be our Halloween special. Didn't quite work out because I was exhausted. So instead of trying to rush something together, I wanted to take my time, and I wanted to really put something special together for everybody. You'll notice, though, if you take a closer look at your screen, you'll notice that this is the current footage that we're working with. And in the lower right-hand corner of the preview, you'll see it says 9 hours, 41 minutes, and 15 seconds, and 15 frames. Yes, this is a 9-hour clip that we're currently looking at. But we're not going to look at all 9 hours tonight, so don't worry about that. But the reason why it's so long is because I left stream running when we investigated this place. And I did my first ever sleep stream. It was a sleep stream in a haunted location, a reputedly or reportedly haunted location. Reputedly, reportedly, whichever one you want to use. And I need to sit through all 7 hours of the night that I spent the night at the Rocking Cradle House, because I'd like to know if anything was moving around the bed, if anything weird was happening, if any of the devices went off. I just want to see. And instead of rushing through that, I'm going to take my time with it. So in this case, though, we are still doing the second investigation, and I believe we're about to move into the playroom. So let's take a look and see what happened when we moved into the playroom. Really? Now you're not going to work? Come on. Do you want to leave Boo Buddy running while we're in the playroom, or while we're downstairs?
Yeah, if you want to. Is it okay if I do some Boo Buddy in the playroom?
Yeah. So here's what we're going to do. Okay, so already the first thing I notice, the audio is out of sync. I'm not sure why, but there you have it. So let's see if I can fix that first. Okay, so this is the better audio. So I'm going to mute this track.
Hello, everybody.
Buddy over there.
Okay. Yeah, that was interesting.
Is it okay if I do some Boo Buddy in the playroom? Because that seems like an appropriate.
You want to leave Blue Buddy running while we're in the playroom, or while we're downstairs?
Yeah, if you want to.
I get a tiny pen.
Well, T can leave streams. So
So here's what we're gonna do. Chad.
Your favorite friend.
Yeah, everybody's favorite Blue Buddy. Everybody's favorite Blue Buddy. We're gonna leave Blue Buddy in here.
Okay, so I think I need to switch it because here's the onboard, the blue audio. That's right here. This is the audio track. That is the onboard recorder that's on the camera. The green track that you see there, that is a separate external. Actually, it's this. The green track that you see there. Oh, and welcome back, Ember. We just we just got the footage up and running, so everything's working now. But the green is this recorder. This is an H4n. It's a Zoom recorder, and it's made by Zoom, and it is a really good, clean recorder. This is you see Jason Hawes use it. You see a lot of paranormal investigators use this particular recorder. And what I'm trying to do is figure out where the sync in the audio and the above video, because the onboard recording devices on a camera are good, but they're not at this quality. So that's the thing. It looks like me after a really long sleep. How are you, Walker? How are you doing? How you doing, buddy? Oh, I got full batteries on this. Okay, cool. Cool. And I think we're good to go for tomorrow. All right. Okay. So let's see where we are in this video. Just point the camera right.
Should I put a light next to her?
Actually, would you go get me the one of my power banks? They're downstairs. Okay, the look on your face is telling me you don't have.
Are we leaving Boo Buddy here while we take a break?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phil, would you go get one of my power banks for the camera?
Yep. And do you?
Wait a second. I already reviewed this. Because if I recall correctly, yeah, I've already reviewed this. Okay, chat. We got everything working, but now something is off. So do me a favor. I will be right back. I'm going to go on ahead and use the little paranormal investigators room, and then when we get back, we're going to take a closer look at this. Don't worry, I have a plan B. Okay, everybody. We are back. Thank you very much for being so patient. So yeah, I've already reviewed this. I hope I didn't just hop around here. Come on. Hop forward if you please. Okay. Yeah, I've already looked at this. I've already looked at this angle. So because I remember this angle and I remember not being very happy with how I was looking sitting at this angle. I look like I look very Jabba the Hutt-esque here. So yeah, I remember. Okay, so plan B is that we jump ahead and we create a new segment. Okay. So the reason why Tina walks up like that, or is walking around like this, with a hoodie over her face like this, it is not paranormal. I can assure you. What happened here, and this is. Man, this was a very unexpected thing that you have to deal with sometimes as a paranormal investigator. So this particular house, the Rocking Cradle House, it's a house that's not really leaning into its reputation. Okay, it is a very nice, very well appointed Airbnb, or at least so we thought. And when we rented this out the second time, we were like, okay, we show up. We immediately walk in and there is a stench in the air. And at first we were like, is this really happening? Are we actually experiencing something super paranormal, like off the charts? Like did the house see us pull up and they go, oh, it's them again? And we started thinking all this. Come to find out that okay, first off, when we went back, we went back in August, and the other thing that we found out too was that apparently the people who had been there beforehand, the guests that had stayed at this house last, yeah, they had dumped the trash. They dumped like all the kitchen trash that they had collected during their stay in the wrong space. And because they were told to set the thermostats at 75, and because no one had, a cleaning crew had apparently not shown up to the person who apparently does not live in Lynchburg, didn't bother to even send a kitchen crew or a cleaning crew to come and make sure that the place was ready for us. Yeah. The trash had been fermenting there for anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. So it really stank in that house. It reeked in that house. And even worse, when we were walking around the house, it was very clear to us that no one had come in to even straighten up the house to begin with. There were huge cobwebs on everything. There were dead bugs in the sinks. I mean, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Because the first time we went there, the place was immaculate. And it was ready for us. This time, not so much. So that's why Tina's walking around like that. We managed to get through the night, but by the time we let the owner know, hey, you got a real problem with this house. They didn't bother to do anything in the ways of compensating for us for stuff. So we did the barest minimum of straightening up the house, and then we left. But that's why Tina's walking around with the hoodie over her face. So Phil and I, when we had brief breaks like this, we went on ahead and we I had done a Pip does an SD session, and I had it all recorded. Hold on. Did I open? Man, for all that waiting and I opened up the wrong file? Now that would be kind of funny. Let's take a look, shall we? Okay. So this is OSI, and then we got Rocking Cradle House. Return to Rocking Cradle House. Yeah. Apparently, it did not. Okay, hold on. There's one other thing I can. There's one other thing I can check. Pro auto. Okay. Holding up as best you can. Good on you. Good on you, mate. Good on you. Okay, there's 0028. I did say okay. Oh. Oh, it says it's not responding. That can't be good. Oh, and to really add to the tension, we got this. Attention, attention, all personnel. Ads in 20 seconds. Ads in 20 seconds. That is all. I'll tell you one thing, chat. I'm kind of glad I'm having this rough and rocky stream because I'm getting all my gremlins out now. Getting all the gremlins out now, right? And that way, when I come back on my next stream, when we come back for our stream tomorrow, we are going to be golden. Because yes, we will be going live tomorrow at 8 p.m. from the site. So we got that going for us. Oh, that's right, Walker. I totally forgot. Yeah. Yeah. And today was the record breaker, as it were. Oh, my God. Can I close this window? Oh, geez. Yeah, close the program because this is just ridiculous. Wow. Wow. Wow, everybody. Wow. After an hour and a half of waiting to get to get everything up and running, Premiere absolutely just shits the bed. Oh my God. Wish I had better news for you, chat. I really do. I wish I had better news for you. But wow, this is rough. I'm expected, which means I work for no pay. No, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. And all I can say is this week a message was sent. You got to admit, Walker. You or I have never talked politics, but you got to admit the message sent this week was a pretty blunt one, which was a pretty blunt one. Yeah. I hear you. Thank you for the compliment on my hair. I take a lot of pride in my hair. We got great messieurs. Oh, I know we do. That has never been a concern of mine. That has never been a concern of mine. Okay. Premiere is really, really having a go. So the question I have is, how do I stop this madness? I think it's time to break out the task manager. It's time to, wow, an hour and a half of waiting, and woof. Okay. Yeah, I didn't think that would work. Okay, let's go to task manager then, and nuke the entire site from orbit. Using a good chunk of memory, too. All right. How about end task? Boop. And there she goes. And there she goes. Wow, it really did not like what I wanted to do there. It really did not like it. All right. Let's go back. So if I manage to do what I'm trying to do here, chat, I'll walk you through it because it is a good hack to know. The main thing I'm currently struggling against presently is the bigger problem right now is I'm making the jump. I've edited. I do a lot of my editing, everybody, on a Mac, and the theory is that if I've got the same fonts and the same application, in this case Adobe Premiere, I should be able to float back and forth between Premiere and Macs without a problem. The thing is that Premiere works a little differently. So that's the best way to describe it. And it's trying to find where all the media is. And the one thing I can take a lot of solace in is that what I'm experiencing right now, yeah, even the pros on the network level, they deal with this too. So I don't have to necessarily worry about it. And if it goes into I'm going to relink all the media again, I'm going to be like, then you know what? I think I'm going to call it a night. Might do a little more chit chat, but this is this is getting on the we have now crossed over into the redonkulous zone. But the way I'm looking at this is that this is my dress rehearsal stream for tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, while I wait for Premiere to resolve this, yeah, not responding, no shit. Tomorrow night at 8 p.m. I will be going live with OSI from the Appomattox Historical Jail. And then we will be doing a live investigation from the historic jail. I believe we have it until either midnight or 2 a.m. I can't remember which, but I will look that up, and have details for everybody tomorrow, and I'll drop a notice. Then the next day, Saturday night, we will again be going live at 8, and we will be at the Appomattox Historical Village known as Clover Hill. Here's where it's going to get tricky. I know I have Wi-Fi. I've been told I have pretty decent Wi-Fi at the Appomattox jail. At Clover Hill, it is a little more remote, and there's no electricity out there, which means it's going to be super dark. It's going to be super creepy, and chances are I don't know what the Wi-Fi is going to be. So I'm going to try to plan for that and see what I can do to make sure that that I can have a signal of some nature, of some kind out there. But we'll have to just wait and see. We will just have to wait and see. Okay. That's wild. All right. Pulling up the task manager again, just to see what it can tell me. Premiere does not want to play tonight. It really does not want to play. It's a shame. And the Premiere is also taking up a lot of memory. It's taking up a lot of memory to run, which is kind of ridiculous. But I'm like, okay, you do you. All right. Yeah, I hate to do this to you, chat, but I think I'm calling it a night because, man, this... Oh, wait. Just as I say that, I kid you not, chat, just as I say I'm going to call it a night, suddenly Premiere kicks in. But I want to see if this is the right... I want to make sure this is the right right job, because there was a lot of work that I had done on this that was just missing. Premiere Quo quit unexpectedly when 2 projects were open. Yeah, I know that. Oh, wow. It honestly looks like I have lost a lot of work. And if that's the case, I think I may need to backtrack and solve this on my own, because this is not where I ended. Man. It didn't want to rouse my ire. Maybe. Kind of a mess. So, all right, I'm gonna try something here. All right, I'm gonna try seeing if I can't man, this is bizarre. This is really bizarre. I'm gonna say RCH PC. Okay. When in doubt, chat. I'm gonna go on ahead. And no, I'm not going to subject you to it. I'm going to go on ahead, call this stream, and then I'm going to take a few moments off stream and try to figure out what exactly happened here. Next week, I can tell you right now, next week we're going to have hopefully something a little better in the stream. Hopefully it'll be a little more, a little better composed. Premiere won't try to make my life miserable, which it has been doing all night tonight. It doesn't seem to want to. Can we quit? Oh my God. It's doing it again, chat. It just really does not want to run Premiere tonight. Okay. This is wild. I've not had a bad night like this with Premiere in quite some time. So on that note, yeah, I'm gonna go on ahead and just say thanks everybody for being here. Thank you so much for your time and attention tonight. Sorry it couldn't have been a better stream. Sorry it couldn't have gone a little smoother. I guarantee you tomorrow night is going to be a bit better. Tomorrow is going to be a little smoother. Tomorrow is going to be smooth and by the numbers as it went in Aliens. And we all know how well that worked out. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I will see you all tomorrow night live from the Appomattox Historic Jail. All right? Take care, everybody. Peace.